will be presenting on Cuba, the evangelicals, and nonviolent resistance in the 21st century. Joy is a journalist, producer, and writer. He has authored several books and has served as correspondent in Cuba for CBN News. His work has been published in The Hill, Newsweek, Univision, El Espectador, El Español, and Vice. Until his exile in 2022, he worked in narrative journalism and investigative reporting on topics such as blacklists and torture. Recently, in the 42nd Annual Miami Film Festival, premiered the feature film Cuba's Eternal Night, where Joy served as one of the producers. Without further ado, Joy Suarez.
Well, thank you, Linda, for the presentation. Thank you for hosting this event to FIU. And as Linda mentioned, we're going to talk about Cuba evangelicals and nonviolent resistance in the 21st century. I like this theme because it's not only showing the victims, but it's also showing people fighting back, like in a peaceful way, obviously. And we're going to explore some particular cases, some examples in this theme. As you have heard, Cuba is a country that really violates human rights in general, but religious freedom in particular. For instance, Open Doors in 2024 ranked Cuba among the 50 countries where religious freedom is more persecuted. Christians face more persecution. And we can say that Christianity and the socialist ethics are completely antithetical. You have the 10 decalogues, the decalogue of the Communist Party, which is the Communist Manifesto that says you will nationalize, and then you have the 10 Commandments that says you shall not steal. So it's antithetical in the core values of both. And it happens not only in Cuba, it happens also in other countries in Iberoamerica. To defend their ideas, a lot of Christians do it through a peaceful way. And Gene Sharp, the political philosopher, he developed some of these nonviolent methods in his investigations in all over the world. And we're going to explore some practical examples of that in Cuba. You are going to find numbers with every case, and those numbers correspond to the numeration that Gene Sharp gave to every single of those nonviolent methods to put out their ideas. And only these parentheses, between 2018 and 2022, the evangelical movement developed a peak, I would say, in in peaceful action, nonviolent resistance in Cuba in general, and also we're going to see some of these examples here. The first that I want to explore with you is a reconquest of the Baptist temple in Yaguajay. It happened in 2005, and it was through a nonviolent occupation. The pastor, Carlos Sebastián Hernández de Armas, along with a group of local Christians, they peacefully occupied the church for 80 hours until its recovery was completed. What happened with this church? In the 80s, a group of pro-regime Christians, they took control of the church, and with the consent of the state, they have this church for this building for decades, and then it happened, this nonviolent occupation, and it was probably the first time that civil society had recovered property through nonviolent means. So this is very inspiring. Also, the political mourning is also another way to express nonviolent resistance, and the largest public vindication of political prisoners in the socialist era in Cuba took place in a church. El Calvario Church is a very beautiful, big church in Havana, and 50 years after the wave of arrest of Western Western Baptist pastors in Cuba, the leader of the congregation of the denomination, Alberto Y. Gonzalez, at the annual denominational assembly, he asked the congregation to stand and speak one by one the name of those who, quote, were faithful and suffered. He was talking about political prisoners, and this was in the face of the regime, that the same regime that imprisoned them 50 years ago, and now they are being reivindicated in this political mourning event. Also, prayer and worship. You find in this photo, in one of the lower corners, José Daniel Ferrer. He is a very prominent political activist from Cuba. He's now in exile recently, thank God. And in March 2021, he protagonized a hunger strike in Santiago de Cuba. And you have in the picture several pastors. They basically break through a siege of the police around the house of José Daniel Ferrer in order to get there, pray for him, pray for the people who were there, and show the solidarity in the face of the repression. That was very brave, and there are some pastors that are still in Cuba. Also, we have, during the Constitution in 2019, several expressions of nonviolent resistance, letters of opposition and support, group or mass petitions, banners, posters, and communications display. In some cases, it was moved by the apprehension of the moral from the philosophy of the churches, but also they talk in these documents, in these public displayment, in these public displays. They talk about economical freedom, freedom of expression, freedom of association, freedom of religion, which is for everyone, not only for Christians, it's even for those who doesn't want to believe in anything. So we have here some of these protests. This is not small. I mean, this is before July 2021, where the big protests in Cuba took place, and we have several, several dozens people in Havana. This is in El Malecón, protesting against some articles of the Cuban Castroist Constitution in 2019. Also, there happened several marches. In this case, was in a municipality in Havana, in Marianao, southern Havana, and they were marching through the streets, and they were also protesting the rewriting of the institutions of marriage and family in the Castroist Constitution 2019. This was so big that even foreign media like The Guardian, they say this is an unprecedented campaign. We haven't seen anything like this. And even Juan Orlando Perez, he is a very well-known Cuban exiled journalist. He lives in London. He said, the evangelical movement has shown a fine capacity for popular mobilization and a formidable discipline of message and action. He says that even Raúl Castro was surprised about that. Also, we have a boycott of government-supported institutions. The regime has the pro-regime Consejo de Iglesias de Cuba, which is an organization that tried to control churches. Several of the big evangelical churches said, we're not going to be part of that. We're going to found our own institution. It's the Alianza de Iglesias Evangélicas de Cuba. And not only founding an organization, but also the refusal to dissolve that organization. Besides the big pressure that the political police put over them, that's also constitute an act of nonviolent resistance. Also, we have the withdrawal from social institutions. This Consejo de Iglesias de Cuba, this is the logo of the institutions. Several churches moved away from that parastatal institution because of how the Consejo de Iglesias de Cuba is supporting the government. They don't want to be associated with that. And also through public speeches like sermons, pastors like Carlos Sebastián Hernández de Armas. This is the guy who took who reconquest the temple in Yahuahai, the first example that I mentioned. They have been criticizing the policy of the state regards cultural censorship and restrictions of free thought. Also, the protests, we have protests of support assemblies. In this case, the pastor here, he was summoned by the political police. They were putting pressure over him because of he violated some COVID-19 restrictions. He said, I want to gather with my people. This is a human right also. We're going to do it, according to the sanitary recommendations, but we want to do it. And the church, part of the church, was out of the police station, saying, "This is our pastor, don't touch him, we support him." And also vigils. The vigils has a component that is religious in a sense, but also is political. In these vigils specifically, that according to estimates, gathered 100,000 people were expected to participate in. These vigils were asking for, were praying people were praying the vigils for the economical situation in the island and also for the political situation in the island. And the thing is, in the totalitarian regime, if the economical situation is wrong, it's because of the government. I mean, they had control for everything. So indirectly, they were pointing a finger to the regime. And then something amazing happened. July 11th, this big uprising all over the island. I'm not going to claim that it's because of the evangelical churches, but they took a part in this path to building society conscience to get to this point here. There were big, it was a big uprising all over the island, July 2021. And then after that, you have also very heroic, let's say, also resistance. The total personal non-cooperation is one of them. We have examples. I've heard and I documented examples of young Christian men that were in the mandatory military service that said, "I'm not gonna go out to punch, to beat my brothers and sisters that are protesting peacefully because I'm a Christian." And they, the authorities put a lot of pressure over them, but that's really heroic. Also, we have rejection of public support. The regime was trying to do a theater in TV after the brutal repression of these peaceful protesters. And they said, "We invite all churches, come here and we're gonna transmit these in the TV because we want to dialogue with the civil society." It was just a big theater, and I saw some high level pastors breaking the invitations. It's very brave. It's also a way to resist the regime. Well, I'm gonna go a little bit faster. The symbolic claims is part of the nonviolent resistance. We have also signed public statements, in this case, against the penal code of the regime in 2022. Several churches, several pastors, several laymen. Also, we have bicycle rides against the foreign policy of the regime, in this case, between the Gaza and Israel war. We have civil disobedience of illegitimate laws, theatrical or musical performances, painting as protest. And I'm gonna stop here because I wanna say that I hope you get the picture that I'm trying to draw for you, that nonviolent resistance is a good tool for civil society in Cuba. And I would recommend to keep training people in these methods, and especially to keep helping people to find a path there through nonviolent methods in order to express what they are feeling and where they are living, especially now that the consequences of communism in Cuba had basically destroyed the basic services in Cuba. You don't have power, you don't have food, you don't have medicine.